Tonight we're going to finish our series called Standing at a Crossroad, where we've been looking at the last week of Jesus' life, including the cross and his resurrection. In the stories we've looked at, every person is standing at a crossroad. They have to decide what they are going to do with Jesus. Remember that each one of us is also at the same crossroad. We must decide if we're going to follow Jesus even to the cross or go down our own path. Last night we found that Jesus was put on the cross and killed. This took place on Friday. Then they took his body and put him into a tomb close by. On Sunday it was time to put some more spices on the body to help with the smell as it decomposed. In Mark chapter 16 verses 1 through 7 it says this: When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Solomon brought spices so that they might go and to anoint Jesus' body. Very early on the first day of the week, just after sunrise, they were on their way to the tomb, and they asked each other, "Who will roll away the stone from the entrance of the tomb?" But when they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had been rolled away. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in white robe sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. "Don't be alarmed," he said. "You are looking for Jesus the Nazarene who was crucified. He has risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid them? But go tell the disciples and Peter, he is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him, just as he told you." Can you imagine being one of these women? They came to the tomb to mourn Jesus' death, and they discovered that he was no longer dead. I mean, this changed everything. If he were still dead, then he would be different than nobody else. Our faith in him would be ridiculous. But if he is alive, it means he really is the Savior. How trusting of a person are you? Do you ever doubt that someone can do something? I mean, we doubt a lot of things. Maybe we doubt if our team can win. I know that I've seen my team blow many of games, and I really lack confidence in their ability to win a championship. Maybe we doubt that we passed a test. It was really hard, and you didn't know a lot of the answers, so you just hoped you were a good guesser, but you doubted. Maybe we doubt that someone will do what they said they will do. They've let us down so many times before. Sometimes we may even doubt God. As we continue through tonight's story, there is one more person I want us to look at who is at a crossroad. He had to decide if he really believed. His name was Thomas. Jesus appeared to the disciples after he talked with the women, but Thomas wasn't there. Look at Thomas's response later on in John chapter 20, verses 24 and 25. Now Thomas, also known as Didymus, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands, and put my finger where the nails were, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." Thomas just couldn't believe it. Do you blame him? Have you ever heard of anyone coming back from the dead? If someone told you that someone who was dead appeared to them, you would probably think they were a little crazy and doubt them too. Thomas needed proof. We too may have some doubts when it comes to God. Maybe you have questioned his existence. It can be hard to trust in something that we can't see. Maybe you need to see some proof. Maybe like Thomas, you have doubted Jesus' resurrection. How is it possible to be dead for 3 days and then be walking around again? Did this really happen? Can I believe in Jesus if I doubt his resurrection? Maybe you've had doubts about your salvation. Do I really trust in him? I mean, it seems that I continue to struggle with sin and doing the right things. Does that mean I don't really have faith? Maybe you doubt God's love for you. How could he love me? After all, look who I am. I'm not even sure if I love me. So why would God of all creation choose to love me? Maybe you wonder if Jesus really is the only way to God. I mean, that sometimes seems a little close-minded, doesn't it? I mean, that's what my friends tell me anyway. Why can't there be other ways to get to God? If you aren't struggling with doubt right now, I want you to know that it will come. But I also want you to look at Jesus' response to Thomas's doubt. In John chapter 20, verses 26 and 28. A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here, see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Notice that Jesus didn't jump on Thomas and criticize him. He didn't say, "I told you I was coming back. Why didn't you believe?" Jesus wasn't upset or angry with Thomas. Instead, Jesus wanted to help him believe. Jesus simply showed himself to Thomas. I love Thomas's response. Remember what Thomas said he would need to do to believe? He said that he would have to touch Jesus' scars. But Thomas didn't reach out and touch Jesus' wounds for proof. Instead, he started to worship him. His encounter with Jesus dissolved his doubt. At that moment, Thomas chose which path he would take. He chose the road of Christ. Maybe he didn't understand everything, and it probably wasn't the last time he struggled with doubt, but he chose to follow Jesus. If you look at church history, you will find that Thomas ended up taking the gospel further than any other disciple who followed Jesus. His doubt turned into confidence. I want you to understand that God isn't afraid of your doubts. He isn't disappointed when you doubt. He isn't looking at you and saying, "Why don't you just believe?" Instead, like Thomas, he wants to come along and help you with your doubts. Maybe you have doubts about God. It's okay. You don't give up on God. Use those doubts to seek Him more and try to understand Him better. Allow Jesus to come alongside you and help you. You know, one of my favorite statements in the Bible is in the book of Mark. It's just so honest. I think it's a prayer that needs to be regularly be on all of our hearts. In Mark 9:24 it says, "Immediately the boy's father exclaimed, 'I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief.'" In this story, a father brought his son to Jesus because his son was demon-possessed. He asked Jesus to take pity on them and heal his son. Jesus then challenged the dad to believe. As you can see in the passage we just read, the dad's response was honest and raw. He believed, but he still struggled with doubt. He asked Jesus to help him with his unbelief. Maybe that's where you are tonight. Sure, you believe, but you still struggle with doubt. That's okay. Ask God to help you with your unbelief. Maybe this needs to be your prayer tonight. God, I believe. Help me with my unbelief. Again, all of us are at a crossroad. Which way will you go? Will you choose to follow the road that leads to Christ or the road that leads away from Him? Sure, there may be a few bumps in the road, a few doubts along the way, but it is the road that leads to God. Are you standing at a crossroad, trying to decide which path to take in life? I want to leave you with the words of Jesus out of Matthew 7, verses 13 and 14. "Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate that is broad, and the road that leads to destruction, and many have entered through it. But small is the gate and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." The easy path, the way of the world, may seem like the good path to take, but it won't lead to life. Instead, it always leads to destruction. Choose to take the path that leads to Jesus. It is the only way to find true life. You know, as we end this series, I pray and I hope by the power of the Holy Spirit that maybe you have been challenged. Maybe some of this has been tough to hear and you may say, "Whoa, man, that can sound hard," but it's never meant to be that way. It's always meant in love. I believe that Jesus is constantly challenging us. And the reason He challenges us because He wants us to have and receive every good thing from Him. So I just encourage you, think back, and if you didn't see this, maybe you're jumping in tonight and you didn't see it, go back, watch them on YouTube. I want you to get the whole experience of each one of these crossroads. Because I believe as we head on as a youth ministry, as engaged, God is going to challenge us at different areas that you and I are going to have to choose either to follow Jesus or to follow our own decisions, our own path. And as we see tonight, many may enter through the path that leads to life, but I'm hoping that the many or the few that do enter are the few that are us, engaged student ministries. Let's choose to enter the narrow path. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your weekend. I hope tomorrow as we celebrate, He is risen. Young people, when you hear the words, He is risen, your response is, He is risen indeed. So as we enter tomorrow and we celebrate Sunday, get on our Evangel Church YouTube and Facebook page as we all have a service to celebrate Easter. Really take time to look and enjoy your family together. I wish we could all be together. At this time we can't be. But I got to tell you something. Something that is greater than the coronavirus is you and I praying for God. You know, my friends DPB, David Paul Brooks, and his son have a world premiere. You guys are going to be special and thanks to see a world premiere of a video David Jr. just put together. And I'm going to leave this video with you, and we're going to end this service with this video. Be blessed. You know I love you. If you need anything, don't feel afraid to call, text, Zoom, whatever it takes. Kathy and I and the other leaders, we're there for you. We love you. But we want you to experience Jesus in His fullness. That's why we're here, to show you Christ and to lead the best way that we can. So here, watch this video and have a great Easter Sunday. He is risen. That's right. He is risen indeed.
I'm on my knee, Mel. I'm on my knee, Mel. I love to talk to you. I'm on my knee, Mel. I'm sorry, Lord, that I've been so distant. I used to spend time with you consistent. I know our relationship existed, but it was me who made it all different. I miss talking to you, and that's my fault. I let the problems of the world cover my thoughts when I should have consulted as an adult. But I put our relationship in a vault, and now it's time for me to do what I ought. Get in your word, which catapults me to become the salt as a result. Ready to run for you like Usain Bolt, but I halt, cause it takes two to have a conversation. So I give you this moment for you to talk. So speak to us, God. I love to talk to you. I love to talk to you. I'm on my knee, Mel. I love to talk to you. I love to talk to you. I'm on my knee, Mel. I love to talk to you. I love to talk to you.